Well, it is that time of the show, my friends. We've all been waiting for it. It is the Joe Thomas half hour of the program, and it all tastes a little bit different on a Victory Monday. Hoff, wins help, buddy. They always do, even in the most improbable ways, as this one was yesterday.
It always feels good to win. I said it at the end of the preseason when I was doing the games with Chris Rose. I said, I don't care if it's tiddlywinks or dominoes or I'm playing Uno with the kids. I want to win because there's just a feeling when you win that's different. And it just makes that Victory Monday so much sweeter knowing that you snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, and that everybody in my state that I'm living in currently was feeling very sad when I walked into the workout this morning, proudly all chesty with my Cleveland Browns sweatshirt on.
As you should be.
Was young Jack in Browns today? Were the kids in school in Browns today walking into school with all those cheeseheads?
So my bust behind me, I had to steal Jack's Hall of Fame Beef Victory Monday official hat, by the way, because he was going to wear that with his Browns gear and rub it in because it's funny, you know how kids are like. I wouldn't maybe be so mean to my coworkers or friends that are big Packers fans because I know the hurt that they're dealing with right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Not a 9-year-old boy. He's going right there to rub it in their face and tell them all about it.
For him.
Rub their face in it and make them smell it because they just collapsed in a monumental fashion at the end of that game.
They did, and the Browns, in a 3-minute span, rose to the occasion and found a way to get it done. And it was, we talk complimentary football all the time, but it really was. You had the defense, the turnover from Grant Delpit. You had the offense do its part, punch it in the end zone. Then you had special teams block the field goal. Then you have the offense do its part not only to get into field goal range, but to have an operation that allowed them to not only complete a pass to David Njoku, get to the line, get in formation, not have a penalty in a 10-second runoff, spike the ball, bring Andre Schmidt out, who goes from the outhouse to the penthouse, makes it from 55 yards. It just, at the end of the broadcast, I think I said something like, this is why sports is the greatest. It's the best.
It is.
Because you can't write stories like this. It just, and how over game time, we'll call it 4 minutes, but in real time was probably, 15 minutes.
Yep.
Everything changed. I mean, we were talking about the Princess Bride head into the pit of despair.
It was. It was.
We were going to the pit of despair, and now everybody's feeling good. Jack's chesty with
That's beautiful.
the Wisconsinites, and everybody's happy about what happened there. And it also, I think, and I want your take on this, both of yours actually, we needed to win to give this defense its appropriate flowers. If we're 0-3, nobody's talking about the fact that this right now has the potential to be, and we've said all along, this defensive line, like generationally,
they're there.
Unbelievable. And you're seeing it because of this win. And I was watching all the shows this morning, and the Browns, everybody's talking about it. But you needed to win to get those accolades.
Absolutely. And I think just as important as those accolades is that defensive football is really hard. It's hard on your body, but also on every single play to get the most out of your defense, you have to have them playing at absolute max capacity because all 11 of those guys are flying to the football until the whistle is blown. That's very tiring. It's very hard to maintain that if you're not seeing any results. And the results being like, hey, we're number one in the league. We're number one in this. We're winning a few games. We're keeping our offense in there. Because if they play at that high level, but the offense never does anything to help them, and then they are still losing by 2 or 3 scores in games that you don't even feel like it's close, it's just human nature for those guys to just dial it back a little bit, and then you don't have that greatness, and you don't give that opportunity to your offense to be able to grow into what they're trying to be. Now, we didn't see a whole lot of growth this weekend, but I will say I think the run game was a little bit better. Quinshon Judkins is playing a little bit better, being more comfortable in that offense, and you hope that he can continue to improve and continue to be the workhorse for us, and that somehow, some way that opens up some passing down the field to get a little complementary football between your run and your pass on offense, and then just give the defense that feeling of success, of all the hard work that you're doing throughout the entire game and playing some of the best defensive football that we've seen in a long time in the NFL. It's paying off. It's working because you brought it right down to the wire. You kept it close, and then we were able to make one more play than them. And then the offense, like you mentioned at the end, did a great job in situational football. Kevin Stefanski had those guys absolutely perfectly coached up to be able to get the ball placed as fast as they did, to be able to get an opportunity to go win that game. And then, of course, your kicker with the redemption after, like you mentioned, man, it was so good to see him make that kick one and then hear the story of his mother passing and how emotional he was in that game and how he's still thinking about her. And just you tie in all those different emotions and all those different feelings, and it becomes quickly a team that you weren't really happy to be associated with to now a team that you're believing in and you love, and you're individually pulling out different players that you're feeling for and you have that connection to. And really, that's why we want to be fans, right? We want that connection to our team and to those different players. And so I just thought it was such a great way to finish. Obviously, you get the win, but just from an emotional standpoint, to be able to give the defense some of those flowers, to be able to give the offense a little bit of confidence at the end of that game, and then have that connection between fans and some of these players, especially guys that maybe weren't our favorite players going into this game.
I think it validates.
Totally.
It validates what you're doing. Nathan and I talked about this. Hoff, I know you talked about it in the preseason with Chris, and anytime you're on with us. The people in this building believed that there was more to this football team than the people outside this building thought was. Okay, so there's nobody here who thought this was a 3.5 win football team or a 4.5 win football team. They thought that if done a certain way, you could be in the mix. Okay, so what a win like yesterday does is it validates the belief in the talent that's here. So I think that's the big thing it does. If you just watch Kevin come off the field skipping into AB's arms, you've seen that video going around. Like, we needed it. You needed a damn result. Like, we probably deserved one week 1 against Cincinnati. Week 2 in Baltimore, it was not as lopsided as that score would lead you to believe. You could have done everything right. And if that kick sails wide left or right at the end, then we're sitting here going, God, they're terrible. Tear it down. Everybody is. The whole town is. It's despair
kick.
if you don't block the kick. Denzel first and then Shell. All of it. Like, if all those things don't happen. So it's one of those things where it validates, I think, the people in the building's belief of what's capable, and you needed it. You needed to get a result. You can do all the things right, but when you don't get the result, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing about sports, to your point at the end of the broadcast yesterday, that's so great. Like, Green Bay was a better team for 57 minutes. Our defense kept us in it. They were never able to separate, much like us against Cincinnati. We were the better team for 57 minutes, maybe more, and didn't get the result that was warranted. So I think it validates what people around here think this team is capable of.
It also shows, too, when you don't lose the turnover battle 1-1 in this game, you can have a chance. We lost it 9 straight games. You have a chance to go out and win a football game. It was funny walking out. I got to spend some time with a guy who was on the staff when the Hoff was still playing back in 2014, Jeff Hafley, who's the defensive coordinator for the Packers. We talked a bunch pregame, and then on the way out, we just coincidentally ended up walking out of the tunnel at the same time. And, and he's like, said, you guys played a great defense. He's like, yeah, we gave up 3 points. I mean, as a defense, really, we gave up 3 points. We were pretty pleased. He said there were some plays, that maybe probably could have been made down the field that weren't. But, he's like, we were happy because you guys are a great defense. And we were just kind of talking about how cool it was to see 2 really good defenses who'd go about their business so differently. They play so much zone. We play so much man. But, they're a real team, and they'll get it figured out. I think, watching it probably had to be maddening as if you were a Packers fan. Why are they even throwing the ball on 3rd and 3? Just run it. At the worst, we punt it back to them, and they have to go 80 yards, and they have not shown any ability to go 80 yards for a touchdown in this game. But, Grant Delpit makes a play off of the same look, same routes, same everything that he got an interception in Pittsburgh back on that Monday night game a few years ago. And then he makes that play, and all of a sudden you win. But you're right, it does. It validates it, and it loosens the valve a little bit, right?
Yeah,
right.
Man.
Bigly, in fact. Now, the crazy thing is, had we just handled our business week 1, we'd be 2-1. Even if the Ravens won tonight, everybody in this division would be 2-1. It'd be a 4-way tie for first, which would be nuts. We didn't, but you needed this.
Yeah. I like what you use there. It's that, and you've been in those rooms, Hoff. When you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're not getting a result, you get one, and it's like, okay, I'm more coachable this week.
And it's for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, being in those rooms, answers are being sought, and if you can't find an obvious answer, you're going to create one. And unfortunately, that's when the finger pointing comes. That's when the team starts breaking down a little bit, because we're competitors. We will not accept losing. It's just not in our DNA. And you're just going to be sitting there trying to figure out, what do we need to do better to win? And at some point, it becomes, well, you're the problem, right? Even though that might not be the problem, but you have to find answers somewhere to be able to uncover every rock that you have to get more out of everybody. And unfortunately, when it does go too far, that's when you get some issues within the locker room or within the building because people start pointing fingers at each other. And so obviously avoiding that is a pretty important part if you want to continue to build this thing and continue to believe in the stuff that we talked about in preseason that Bo just mentioned. Like, we feel that this offense especially should be getting more out of what they have from a talent standpoint and what they have from a scheme standpoint than they are. And they need to really be the ones that pick things up. But on the defensive side, they have to have that reward at some point. You have to give it to them because they're dogs that are hungry and they are running and they are chasing, but they got to get that meat eventually. Otherwise, they're going to start eating each other, and that ain't a good situation.
Yeah. You stop running.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think had we lost this game 10-0 or 10-3, it's just human nature. I think that you would have had – there would have been finger pointing. They're just the defense would say, okay, we've played 3 of the best offenses in the NFL. We have successfully neutralized what they do well. Week 1, it's the pass game. Week 2, it's Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson run the football. Week 3, we took Josh Jacobs basically out of this football game. We ended his touchdown. We did it all. What more do you want us to do?
Of course. That's
what more do you want us?
That's why it's
so that's and you win, and it's funny. Those things aren't really even discussions. This was a game that was won. We still haven't played true complementary football. This was a game that was won by the defense and the special teams of the Cleveland Browns, and the offense was in this happy to be along for the ride. And Joe Flacco even really said that after the game. He's like,
there was one difference though, and that's the kid wearing number 10.
Of course,
because there's a level Hoff that he has. I said when they
He's a
drafted
star.
him that to me he reminds me of Kareem Hunt, like Kansas City Chief. Even
Smoother,
even
but yes,
even early Browns Kareem Hunt, like he runs violently.
Yes,
his knees are high. He gets upfield. You never get him for a loss almost ever. This is why they drafted him, Hoff.
Absolutely, and you're starting to see it, right? He's starting to be more confident reading his blocks. There was one play, I think he was running to the left. He made a great cut, and he had the vision to see the hole, and he set up the cut off of his left foot to get back into that hole. And just that little move, you could see how much quickness and power he had to be able to make guys miss at the line of scrimmage. But he kind of had that second thought about where he was trying to get to by setting up the defense with his first move. And it's fun to see that, right? As guys are becoming more confident. You know, he's only been here a short couple of weeks so far because of the holdout. But you're starting to get what you saw on film from him in college. And really, that's who we're relying on offense right now to get things started, to be that workhorse, to be able to open up some things in the passing game, just which we're not there so far this season. But hopefully with a running game that's steady, consistent, the teams are worried about Judkins, that, boom, now you can open up maybe some holes in the passing game.
He changed the game in 2 plays. I mean,
totally
he went back-to-back plays for 52 yards, went 14
Flipped
and then
it.
38. And he has an ability, his jump cuts are so quick. He has that ability to make that jump cut, make guys miss, and accelerate. People are wondering, does he have enough home run speed? Yes.
Plenty.
The answer is plenty of speed he's got. He is just an incredibly he's smooth. To me, when I think Kareem, I think more of like a whirling dervish, like a little bit like a ball, what do they call it? Like a bowling ball of butcher knives or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a smoothness to him and his ability to outrun. When you saw him outrun Marlon Humphrey 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
you're like, wow. He is great. And I want to ask you, Hoff, when you have a guy who goes through the situation that he went through, and other players obviously don't like to get involved in other players' money, and rightfully so, but for him to come in the kind of condition that he came in, to have 1 week of practice, take 15 touches, and then the next week come and basically be the bell cow, run it 18 times. Like, there's a difference between shape and football shape. So whatever he did, the commitment he made to his body to saying, like, I know I missed some time. I'm going to hit the ground running, and you're going to forget that I missed training camp. By the way, kind of an impressive start to the guy's career, considering he had not been on a football field since June prior to the week he showed up. But what does that say to the guys in the locker room? And as somebody who's had to get ready, what does that say? I mean, is it kind of amazing what he's doing?
It's totally amazing, and I think it really speaks to his commitment to this team and to himself and the craft and how important it is, right, to be a great football player, because it is really, really hard to get in football shape without playing football. We always said it was impossible, but now he's proven that wrong, because clearly he is in great football shape. I think he had 18 carries in this game. 2 weeks later, like I remember going into training camp, and I did a lot of conditioning in the summer on my own. I would even do football stuff, pushing sleds. But there's a difference when you're doing it against live human beings and you don't know where they're going and they're hitting you and you're hitting them and you're bracing and you're not breathing the right way because, you're pushing a guy and people are landing on you. And for a running back, it's even worse because you have to deal with all that contact at the line of scrimmage. And then all of a sudden, oh, babe, by the way, you got to hit third or fourth gear and then go run 50 yards down the sideline and try to outrun a safety or a cornerback. So, we need to find out what his offseason program was and replicate that, because it was just amazing to see a man come in here and be in such fantastic physical shape in a couple games that were kind of hot. For this time of the year in Cleveland, Ohio, or in north of the Mason-Dixie, it's pretty impressive to see a man to be able to be in that good of shape when it is hot, when it already is humid and it's difficult to catch your breath, and you're playing the most physically demanding position on the offensive side of the football.
One of my favorite things, an anecdote, the television cameras picked up on this. I know you guys have the feed in there, so you maybe saw it too. So he rips off those 2 runs for the 52 yards. They pull him. He goes to the sidelines. It doesn't even look like he's breathing hard.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. Like he was ready. He was ready.
Get him back in there.
He was ready to go. I mean, we carried the ball 19 times. He had 18 of them. So that tells you kind of
bell cow.
What he is.
Yes.
I wanted to get also Hoff on the spike play, to get those extra yards, to be that organized, because as that's happening, you're going, okay, you can go to the middle of the field, but you better have a plan for it.
It's always had to be inside 10 yards.
It had to be so clean, so quick, so precise. How does that get done, and what were your thoughts when they lined up to run a play?
That's not weeks of practice and preparation of that situation. That is years, because you have to know so detailed about how much time you have, how deep you can run your routes. And then after you get the ball, there's a lot of defenses that are taught to basically understand in that situation, like, just let him run, because he's going to run out the clock, or he's going to run so far from where your offensive line is that they won't be able to get the ball down and spike it in time. Like, for David Njoku to be so heady to be able to understand, okay, I can catch the ball, but now I got to get down immediately, put the ball exactly in the right spot, give it to the ref, or give it to my center who knows exactly the spot that the ref is going to put it on, because the ref has to touch the ball before they can snap it. They can't just put it wherever they want, but the ref doesn't have to come in and do a whole lot if we were smart enough to catch the ball, understand we got to get down very quickly, put it in the right spot, get everybody up to the line of scrimmage, get the Packers away if possible, make a lane for the ref to be able to come in there, touch the football, be lined up so that everybody's in a legal formation. So you got your receivers covering your offensive tackles on the end, not too many guys in the backfield. Everybody's got to face the line of scrimmage. So there's all these things that have to go on that you have to be aware of that situation. And it could have been completely ruined had David not had the wherewithal to get down quickly if he was trying to get an extra couple yards, or the defense is also taught to try to hold him up. They're not wanting to let him get down. And so you have all these things that are happening. And so to be able to pull that off in that situation is extremely difficult, and they made it look easy. So people at home probably thought, oh, that's a pretty routine play, but that's something you practiced for years. And I think they trusted Njoku because he's been here long enough, and he's run that play probably 150 times on Friday and Saturday in practice to know exactly what he needed to do. And they were never going to trust one of the younger guys because it's just so important. It's the difference between winning and losing.
It was also insane watching the playback, as I'm doing right this second. There we go. But now there'd be a little lift. Give it a little lift there. There we go. That they basically just gave him a free release on the slant to the middle of the field.
Did.
You had to catch that ball. You had to catch that ball between the hashes. Otherwise, there was no. If you had to move the ball from side in, no chance. And I want to give just a little shout out because I'm watching the play right now on tape. So we snapped that ball at their 46, I want to say, roughly. 45. At their 45. All right, so that's 5, 10, 15 yards behind the play when the ball's thrown it's the umpire that has to go in and touch it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second that David Njoku catches the ball, here, I'll show you. The second that David Njoku catches the ball, This guy starts sprinting.
God bless him.
The umpire starts sprinting immediately. Look at this
he
hustle.
is.
I mean, this dude is
He's on it.
on it. He gets in there, touches the ball, which you have to, and that's what it gives you the opportunity. That guy ran 20 yards in a dead sprint, weaved in, hit the ball, and the Browns were able to get it off. He lollygags, no chance. So shout out to the umpire in the game because
That's awesome.
The second it was caught, he starts running because he's like, I know what this is going to be.
Like he's in starter blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. So all of these things changed the mood of today in a very, very dramatic fashion, obviously.
Again, so much to work on, right? That was not.
We'll work on it with a win, baby.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a totally different tone.
Totally.
We
Oh, my
played
God,
a better
this is-
game
yeah.
against the Bengals,
Yes, we did. Yeah.
but that was misery.
Yep.
And Aaron Rodgers doesn't like to get bogged down in the binary nature of this business. There is nothing that is more binary than the National Football League because you get it for a week. You get those feelings for a week. Now, you can try to be like in a bad scenario, oh, we're on to such and such, but the good vibes last until they don't, which
Yes.
that's until the bell sounds at the end of 60 minutes, this Sunday in Detroit.
Yep.
But we got joy until then.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And now we can do game balls. We got some game balls. What a treat.
By the way, I mean, Kevin Stefanski, I thought he was going to run out of game balls. I don't
He
know
had
how
a
many
lot.
balls they have. He handed out like 12 of them.
He had a lot. Well, it was a lot of weight, I think, on everybody. Let's start with you, Hoff. Game ball offense. Who do you got?
Ooh, still the easy one, Quinshon Judkins. I mean, he's, like you mentioned, he's the workhorse. That's what we expected him to be, but only a couple weeks after getting here, he has 18 carries for 94 yards, a touchdown. He makes a great play. The one I was referring to before was an inside zone to the weak side. Micah Parsons actually slanted inside, so he had to change his track immediately. The Packer safety came down and was actually in good position to make the play. Judkins.
It's a 14-yard run.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He makes a whoop, quick fake to his left, puts his foot in the ground, almost completely avoids the safety, and then finishes in dominant fashion, putting his shoulder down and finishes with that toughness that just builds a motivation and an excitement within that offense and creates that spark. And if you're going to have a running back be the focus of your offense, you need a guy that's finishing runs, finishing angry runs with his shoulder down and creating that spark and that enthusiasm and excitement for that entire offense. So he's an easy one. Thanks for giving me him first.
Yeah, we had nothing going on there until those back-to-back runs, and that really, you're right, that could have been a run for no gain. I mean, Javon Bullard, the safety, was in perfect spot.
Yep.
And he matrixed him, made him not even touch him right there.
Offense game ball, Z.
As we sit here across from the NFL's Iron Man, I'm going to give it to a guy who had a streak that for a while was, maybe he had a chance to get into that rarefied air of the great Hoff, but he did not. Remember, it was the 49ers game a few years ago after he had a little procedure in the bye week. But I'm giving mine to Joel Bitonio because Joel Bitonio, and Kevin Stefanski gave it to him as well, wasn't really walking well during the week, but he wanted to go out there for his guys. I got a chance to go sit with him in the locker room afterwards for a few seconds, and we were talking, and he basically was like he could hear you in his mind being like, I don't know how many more of these I'm going to get, how many more chances I'm going to get to play with my guys, and if I can do it, I'm going to do it. And I asked him, I said, about 55 minutes in, were you thinking it was a great decision? He's like, well, no, I was really at that point, I wasn't thinking it was such a great decision, but now it feels really great. So Joel Bitonio.
That's awesome. That's great. All right, I'll lead off with you on this one. Defensively, Z, who do you got? You go a lot of different ways here.
I mean, there you could give it to everybody, really. I'm going to give it to because I think that he is a leader of this team, and they say big-time players make big-time plays in big-time moments. So I'm going to give it to Grant Delpit because without that interception, I don't know that we win. There were so many great performances on that defense, and whether you're talking about the line, whether you're talking about Carson, I mean, a million of them. But Delpit getting that pick in that moment, getting up, running, trucking Jordan Love, and getting down to the 4 so that we were one penalty away from being down at the 1, and then into the end zone. I got to give mine to Grant Delpit.
Hoff?
Obviously, it's got to be Myles Garrett at some point in this conversation, but I want to give it to my guy Aiden Huntington because he was my player of the preseason. He was so much fun to watch with the effort he was playing on special teams and then on defense. And then for him to go out and play significant snaps in this game, finished with 4 total tackles, and he had his first half sack of his NFL career. So it was so good to see him taking what he did in training camp and in the preseason and earning a spot to be able to get some play time. And then now he's making it pay off all that work that he's put in and getting some snaps on offense too, which was kind of cool seeing him in the jumbo package down there by the goal line.
I will say that Mina Kimes, the screen grab that she grabbed of
Congo
Miles with the Congo line of Packers trying to block him. Have you seen this, Hoff?
Did, yeah.
Like, for the folks who haven't seen it, so it's Miles. There are 3 Packers lined up. Like, once he gets by you, I got him. Once he gets by you, I got him. Like, I just – no one – and Ben Baby, who we have on all the time from the Bengals side, he goes, he's the best player in football, and it's not particularly close.
Yep.
And he's probably right.
He's the best non-quarterback in football.
He's probably the best overall player in football. It's stunning what he does every week.
I mean, so Delpit had the 9 tackles, the pick, tackle for a loss. Miles was all over the place, half a sack. He had 4 pressures. I mean, Malik Collins
Mason
was fantastic
Graham was
in this
awesome
game.
too,
Mason
Z.
Graham.
He's
So I said to
great.
Mason Graham, I said, congrats on your first sack in the locker room. And he's like, it's only half a sack. Doesn't count. I'm like, no, that counts.
Take him, buddy.
That's your first sack there. Carson Swessinger is another one I just think we need to acknowledge. 10 tackles, tackle for a loss. His sack, he really had 2 sacks because one was erased on the 12 men on the field penalty, which, by the way, got Siciliano fired up during the podcast. He's like, Matt LaFleur, that's not in the spirit of the rules. He was pissed. He was pissed. It was a great rant. But so Carson really had 2 sacks, but the way that he closed Hoff in the open field, it was like a heat-seeking missile.
He did.
And to get that sack on Jordan Love, I mean, that guy does – you showed that tape to people who've been around the league for a long time. You go, how many games do you think this guy's played in the NFL? I mean, they're going to think he's a multi-year vet. This is his 3rd game. Incredible.
It's only his 2nd year starting.
2nd year
Football.
starting. That's right.
That's right. For college, pro, anywhere. Like, it just did. It happen. No, it was awesome. All right, Trench Report brought to you by Big Fig. The mattress made for more. It's crafted in Cleveland just like our Browns. So today we get the news on Dewan.
Ugh.
Look, this is all fun and
devastating.
roses, but this is the reality of the sport, is the injury part of it. You and I are here every day, and we've seen the work that Dewan put in this offseason. His spirit is completely infectious. It's of no fault of his own, Hoff, but it's just a absolutely crippling blow on an otherwise very, very happy victory Monday.
Yeah, it's a gut punch. Going out early in the game with the knee injury, and for a guy that has worked so hard through the offseason to get his body in shape, switching over there to the left tackle, obviously built quite a close relationship with him throughout his time in Cleveland and then this year in training camp. And it just pains me because I know how important this is to him. I know how much work he's put into it. And then now to have to wait a full season until he can get back out there and continue that journey to be the type of player that I know he is going to be, it hurts. And it's part of the game, but it just never gets easier.
Mm-hmm. It's brutal, and he was the only starter on this team under contract next year, and now this is kind of 3 years where he's had season-ending injuries, and so you have to ask yourself, how much can we, it's 3 for 3.
Right.
So you can't count on 17 games from DeJuan Jones at this point, which is devastating. Again, another one of my favorite guys. Cornelius Lucas, guys, gave up 9 pressures on 37 pass sets. That is not great. KT Levinson gave up 4 on the other side. Our tackles were, I'd have to imagine, just looking at their raw grade numbers, 2 of the lowest graded pass blocking tackles in the National Football League in week 3. We need to get Jack Conklin back, and tackles don't grow on trees, but Hanford Dixon every day on Brown's Countdown every Sunday says that he lists the number of snaps that he believes he has in him for that particular game. So I think what we're asking right now is how many snaps can we get out of you off?
Well,
player
it's
coach
getting lower by the day. I actually just texted with the Browns doctors. I'm like, the left knee is not straightening out right now. I may need to get a little picture next time I'm in town to maybe get a little cortisone injection because she's not the way she used to be even a couple weeks ago. So I'll give you a couple snaps, but they may be needing to get the body bags warm for me after a couple plays.
Yeah, it's just the reality of this. I mean, again, of no fault of his own. I mean, it's just
that's a
sucks.
brutal one. It's a freak one, and my mind always is like, well, what if he was just a left tackle? If they didn't make the change for a variety of reasons this week, that would we still have DeJuan? Just him and MJ are my dudes, and it's just such a bummer we haven't even 3 full games, and already they're out. But we got to find a way to get Jack Conklin out there because this is a tough situation right now for the Cleveland Browns at tackle. And look, the reality is it is hard enough to play offense in the NFL, but when you know that you're compromised off the edges, it just forces you, to have 2 tight ends on wings where they're both chipping, or bring a running back down to the wing where he's chipping, and it affects your timing in the passing game. It affects how many guys are functionally in the routes and the kind of routes and concepts you can run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and we need to get the ball down the field, and getting the ball down the field takes time.
That's
you
the
can see
thing.
that
Like
with
everything
Flacco.
starts with this offense, with the run game, and not having Jack and not having your 2 starting tackles out there. It's going to be much more difficult to get the run game going. And if you can't run it, how are you going to throw the ball down the field, which is something that we haven't been able to do. And defenses are figuring that out very quickly and then taking away all the short stuff, which makes the short passes even harder then.
Yes.
And so you're at some point are going to have to get the ball down the field. But if you have to manufacture it with keeping 2 of your 5 eligible receivers in to help block the edges, well, now you got 3 guys running down the field, and they've got 5 guys in coverage. So the numbers do not look good when you're not able to get all 5 of your receivers out there quickly, and it's going to make it even more difficult for an offense that's been stubbing their toe in the pass game all season.
Well, there's no such thing as good news in a scenario like this, but the silver lining is you can try to figure it out amidst a win, and that helps to a certain degree. Hoff, great talking to you as always, buddy. Appreciate your time. There he goes, the Joe Thomas half hour of the program on this fine Victory Monday. And that was Cleveland Browns Daily as well. We're back tomorrow for more fun. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.